लॉ एक बहुत ही वास्ट और बहुत बड़ा सब्जेक्ट है। इसे समझने में शायद तो कई साल लग जाएं और तब भी आप एक्सपर्ट ना बन पाएं। लेकिन इसके साथ जुड़ना, इसका अध्ययन करना शायद थोड़ा बहुत आसान लग सकता है। आज हम पहुंचे हैं दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट में, जहां पर लॉ एंड प्रैक्टिस गाइड्स का लॉन्च किया जा रहा है। तो आइए चलते हैं और खुद भी इस बुक लॉन्च के साक्षी बनते हैं और खुद इसे ज्वाइन करते हैं।
Good evening and welcome to the distinguished dignitaries on the dais. Welcome to this evening to the book launch, to the launch of the books authored by our fraternal brother, Mr. Saurav Kansal, with two of his teachers, I would say, Professor Dr. Vageshwari Deswal and Dr. Rita Vashisht. The yearning for a fast, efficient, and scientifically oriented, technology-infused legal system resulted in a major amendments to both criminal and civil procedure, being both remarkably impacted by evidence mechanism in the country. The zeal to have an efficient, speedy justice delivery system, overcoming the shortfalls in a complex legal procedure, inadequate use of forensic sciences, and above all, the urge to have a very independent, India-centric code of procedure for legal system have led to the advancement in the legal system in the country, and the current amendments to the Indian Penal Code, the Criminal Procedure Code, and the Indian Evidence Act are the outcome of the said, I would say, urge for both the center, the government, and the judiciary, as well as the bar.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to this book launch function. I congratulate Mr. Saurabh Kansal, Professor Vageshwari Deswal, and Dr. Shruti Goyal, the authors of these books on the 3 new laws, criminal laws. They have worked hard on these books and ensured that these are published even before these laws come into force on 1st July 2024. Incidentally, I am pleased to share with you that these laws were drafted by me as Legislative Secretary and my team consisting of Joint Secretary Shri Diwakar Singh, Deputy Secretaries V.K. Mishra, Shri Shashi Bhushan, Shri A.K. Dubey, and Additional Legislative Council Shri R.K. Patnaik. We were assisted in our work by PAs Shri Shashi Bhushan, Shri Ajayan, and Shri Dakshinamurthy. These newly published books highlight all the major changes made in the new criminal laws and also make a comparison of provisions of old laws with newly enacted laws in a tabular form, which makes it easier to comprehend. The replacement for the Indian Penal Code, namely Bharati Nyaya Sanhita, introduces a nuanced approach to offences. BNS is a transformation of the criminal justice system to make it more efficient, transparent, and accessible, and to move from the ideal of dand, that is punishment, to nyay, that is justice. Further, the Bharatiya Nyaya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, which replaces the CRPC, seeks to make justice more accessible and speedier with the use of technology and forensic sciences in investigations. Furthermore, Bharatiya Sakshi Adhiniyam, which replaces Indian Evidence Act, focuses on admissibility of electronic evidence with changes to the definition of document and evidence to include electronic or digital records. The legislative intent behind making these laws are, firstly, to modernize and reform the criminal justice system. The colonial era Indian Penal Code, Code of Criminal Procedure, and Indian Evidence Act had become outdated and were no longer aligned with the contemporary needs and values of Indian society.
This is a momentous occasion as we gather here today to celebrate the launch of Bharat's first comprehensive books on the 3 new criminal laws, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, and Bharatiya Sakshi Adhiniyam. These laws have replaced the old and archaic criminal laws that were enacted by our colonial masters in the 19th century for their subjects. The objective behind the old laws was to punish those who dared to transgress the norms established by these imperial rulers, hence the title Indian Penal Code. The other law, CRPC, simply laid down the procedure to be followed for apprehending, trying, and punishing those offenders. To quote the Greek philosopher Heraclitus, the only constant in life is change, society changes, and laws need to keep pace with the changing times. Many detractors have tried to run down the new laws by calling the changes merely cosmetic or akin to presentation of old wine in new bottle. Please do not pay attention to them. The change is substantial. These 3 new laws have been drafted, keeping in mind the contemporary needs of our society. Further, these have been enacted by our democratically elected leaders for their own people. Thus, the objective is justice. There is a shift from penal code to Nyaya Sanhita. In criminal justice system, punishment to the offender does not necessarily translate into justice for the victim. Our reformative approach towards offenders makes room for restorative principles of justice in the new laws by introducing community service as a kind of punishment.
भारतीय न्याय संहिता, भारतीय नागरिक सुरक्षा संहिता and भारतीय साक्ष्य अधिनियम. So besides the changes, it has a new label to it also. But that apart, this is not the forum for discussing what the law is, how it's good or how it is bad, whether it is with the contemporary world or not with the contemporary world. That's not what we have gathered here for. We have gathered here for our young brother making a debut into the authorship of such serious laws, though with the support of his academic colleagues. But I just had a brief look into the books he sent me across yesterday. What I liked was, besides the tabulation of old and the new provisions, a comparative analysis, was a ready reckoner on the case law given along with each provision. When you look at any book, and especially when you come up and try and read a new enactment. The other day we had a function in which Justice Ori said that even our cinegoers and filmmakers will have to start rethinking from Shri 420 to Shri 318, or something in the 375 will become 63. But that's on the humor side. But as a student of law, when you take any book, pick up any book to read the enactment or to understand the statute, the very fact that it is giving a comparison there itself, on that very page when I am reading a particular provision, it can help me in correlate what was my understanding of that provision of law, and then what's the new change which has come. And additionally, the insertion of the case law relevant to that point. The most important case law is given, obviously, because we have in 75 years several cases. So the most important case law that gives a good hand to the person who's reading it. It helps him, it aids him in understanding and appreciating that provision immediately. So in this short span, they were able to do this, which takes otherwise years of hard labor. I must congratulate the authors for that. And I, for one, take pride in all such endeavors simply vicariously by saying, he is my member. So I enjoy that my team, my members of my bar are able to do this, and this is something which affects the entire country. And I'm sure it helps in elevating the status of our bar association and our institution.
First of all, I congratulate all three co-authors who have written these books in a very, very short time. Actually, when I was called by the parliamentary committee to have views as the president of Supreme Court Bar Association, I welcomed the suggestions of the ministry, but I requested that as government is changing these acts, and every lawyer, every law student, every law teacher is having this IPC, Evidence Act, CRPC, and now you are going to change. This should be provided free to our lawyers. Because when government is burdening us, so our additional Solicitor General at least you will ask these taxman people who have published this book that they should, if Government of India is unable to provide some 50% concession should be given to our members. Our not free of charge, तो ये government नहीं है. जब government is unable to do, how we can expect that can be done by a private publishing house? So this is, it is the duty of the government to provide free. But problem is we are so many lawyers today in the country. Government has also limitation. I am really thankful that I've been given opportunity to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Sometimes so much that the noise in fact drowns out any meaningful debate on any subject. So, as is our wont, debate is raging from both sides. There is one narrative which applauds the new Sanhitas. There is another narrative which seeks to criticize them. The critics say, as was said by one of the co-speakers today, that this is just old wine in new bottle, maybe with a new label. But one thing we are certain, that it risks changing the entire vocabulary of criminal justice dispensation. Any practitioner of criminal law will know the way matters would proceed. उनका 161 का बयान पढ़िए. ये तो 164 की स्टेटमेंट थी ना. अब मामला 207 की स्टेज पे है. उसके खिलाफ 81-82 हो चुका है. उनके खिलाफ 751 दर्ज है. And if to take even a rookie lawyer some time to understand that 751 has nothing to do with 7 or with 51. And it's a reference to 107 and 151 of the CRPC. That entire vocabulary of criminal justice dispensation is sought to be overhauled because the laws as they exist are seen as archaic, colonial, and long overdue for such an overhaul.
We are discussing the significant changes brought about by the new criminal laws in India. These criminal laws, namely Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita 2023, and Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam 2023, replacing the Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code, and the Indian Evidence Act, respectively. It's aimed to revamp and replace British era laws. They aim at completely overhauling the criminal justice system in country. Focus is on delivery of speedy justice, and the other main purposes of these laws are to include the principle of natural justice more comprehensively, to simplify the procedure and to keep it technology friendly, to prevent delay in investigation and trial, and to do balancing of interest between the parties.
Number one, from penal, from inflictment of punishment, this is a justice-oriented, न्याय संहिता है ये justice oriented है, ये परिवर्तन है. From the British who had a mindset to subjugate the Indians, उनको डराना, उनको अपने कानून से नीचे दबाना, उनको महसूस कराना कि they are subjects, they are the ruled, they are slaves, and they'll be taken to the strictest sense as to how the British will inflict. From that, the regime has now shifted to even-handed justice.
कहते हैं किताबें बहुत मूल्यवान होती हैं और जो किताबों का मूल्य समझता है, किताबें खुद ब खुद उनका मूल्य बढ़ा देती हैं. आज हम पहुंचे हैं दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट में, जो कि एक बहुत ही खास जगह है। हर कोई इस जगह के बारे में जानता है। कानून से जुड़े लोग खास तौर पर यहाँ पर आते हैं। मेरे साथ यहाँ पर दिल्ली पब्लिक लाइब्रेरी से रिटायर्ड डीजी डॉक्टर आर.के. शर्मा जी मौजूद हैं। तो आर.के. शर्मा जी से ये पूछना चाहूँगी कि बुक्स का महत्व वही समझ सकता है जिसने बुक्स के साथ कभी अपना जीवन बिताया हो, और आपने शायद ज़्यादातर वक्त अपना जो है बुक्स के साथ बिताया है, या यूँ कहूँ कि पूरी ज़िंदगी किताबों को दी है। तो आप कैसा समझते हैं कि ये जो बुक लॉन्च है ये कितना बेहतर हो सकता है, कितना कारगर हो सकता है लोगों के लिए, एक ऐसी लॉ एंड प्रैक्टिस गाइड को लोगों के लिए लेकर?
रेखा जी धन्यवाद। मैं अपने आपको बहुत गौरवान्वित महसूस कर रहा हूँ कुछ शब्द यहाँ कहने के लिए। जैसा आपने ऑलरेडी इसके बारे में बताया कि उनका क्या महत्व है, और ख़ासतौर से इस इंटरनेट की दुनिया में और इस IT की दुनिया में आज के टाइम में प्रिंट पब्लिकेशंस का जो महत्व है, वो मैं एज ए लाइब्रेरियन प्रोफेशनल लाइब्रेरियन में ये कह सकता हूँ कि कम नहीं है, बल्कि उसका रुझान बढ़ रहा है दिन पे दिन।
दिल्ली की धड़कनें यूं ही नहीं थमने वाली। यहाँ पर बहुत कुछ है जो आपके दिलों को महसूस करने के लिए, धड़काने के लिए काफ़ी है। तो दिल्ली की धड़कन में फिर किसी रोज़ ले चलूँगी आपको किसी और नई जगह की सैर पर। फिलहाल आपकी दोस्त रेखा दिल्ली वाली लेती है आज के लिए विदा।